Roll call, Mr. Scott. Mr. Robert. Here. Michael. Here. Mr. Taylor. Mr. Kirk. Here. I'm going to ask Reverend Don Davis from Oak Grove Church of Christ to bring our invocation tonight, followed by the pledge for the flag.
Thank you. Bow with me, please. Heavenly Father, we bow before you tonight, just so thankful that we have a God like you that's revealed yourself to us as you have through your holy word. And Lord, that you love us like you do and care for us like you do. Thank you for all your blessings, Lord. We thank you for the country that we live in. Father, we pray your continued blessings upon us. We pray for peace and freedom in the days to come, even as we've enjoyed it in the days gone by. We thank you for our state. We thank you for our city, Lord. We thank you for Renton, Georgia. And Father, tonight I thank you for those who serve on the city council. I thank you, Lord, for those who serve in other capacities in our city, for our policemen, our first responders. Just pray your hand of protection and safety to be upon each one. But Lord, as we gather tonight for this city council meeting, we ask your blessings upon each of these council members. We thank you for each one of them. We thank you for their commitment to serve our community. And Lord, we just pray your blessings of wisdom and discernment to be upon their hearts as they deal with the issues before us tonight on the agenda. Lord, we just pray that in every way, that whatever we do and say, that we will always make sure that we glorify you. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Reverend. At this time, we'll entertain a motion to approve our agenda. I have two requests to change the agenda. First, it would be the removal of the approval of the council minutes of the meeting of June the 26th. Those were not included so that we could have an opportunity to review them. So I would ask that that be removed from the agenda. And then item number 9 under new business. Item 9 is withdrawn at the request of the petition. And if there are no other changes, that is open to a motion.
Motion to approve with the noted changes.
Second. Changes. There's a motion by Mr. Scott, second by Mr. Blackwell to approve the agenda with the noted changes. Any other questions or discussion? Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Brown? Yes. Blackwell? Yes. Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Kirk?
Yes.
All right, before we get into our agenda items, I think our chief of police has an introduction that he'd like to make.
Mayor and council, I'll be brief. I know we've probably got a long night. Wanted to bring before you our newest hire, James Sloan. He goes by Jim. Mr. Sloan started the academy on July the 5th. This is our second recruit that we are sponsoring through the academy. His employment history consists of private sector jobs. He's got a wife and 3 children. He lives in Richmond Hill. He's set to graduate the academy. Keep looking back because I hear the door, I'm sorry. He's set to graduate the academy on September the 22nd. So far so good. And he's had your second test today?
Yes, sir.
And didn't make what on it?
92.
We're doing good. Criminal procedure, so that's one of the hard classes.
3 days of studying. Big test.
Congratulations.
Do you guys have any questions, Mr. Stone?
Welcome.
Glad to have you with us.
Appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Thank you. All right, as we get into our agenda items now, if you're here in regards to a particular item on the agenda, you'll have an opportunity for public comment at that time. When it comes up on the agenda, if you would like to speak in regards to it, come to the podium and state your name and your residence, and you'll be able to speak in regards to that item. Item number 1, new business, is the vote on the second reading of a petition filed by BKZ Properties LLC requesting a conditional use to utilize the property as a self-storage facility. The property is located at 0 Magnolia Drive, is zoned GC General Commercial, and is owned by BKV Properties LLC, parcel number R2090006. This is the second reading. I know there's been several meetings and discussions on this item, and Ms. Lewis, I know that there was a meeting with the residents, and there was some discussion about conditions that might be proposed, and I think those are included in our packet, but if you could take just a moment and kind of speak to that just for the council.
Of course. Do you want me to go through the conditions that I provided in your packet? Would that be the easiest?
Good. Yes, please.
Okay, I know it's been a little bit since this has been on the agenda, So the conditions that are recommended for the approval of this conditional use would be left in, right out only access to the property. Magnolia Drive should be widened, repaved between Weisenbaker and the entrance to the subject property. A minimum 15-foot vegetated buffer and associated fencing along Magnolia Drive. Clear safety signage to include that 18-wheelers are not permitted to service or visit the site. And I do want to make clear, we understand that during the construction of the site that 18-wheelers would have to be there. This is for after the site is, would be open for business. No exterior storage such as boats, cars, RVs, things like that should be permitted on the site. The dumpster shall be located as far away from Magnolia Drive as possible. The building shall be a neutral earth tone color. Any site lighting shall be contained within the site and shall not spill over the property line. If the business has a freestanding sign, any lighting shall be ground mounted, shine only on the sign face, and be concealed by vegetation. And the approval of this application does not constitute approval to use the adjacent R4 property as part of the self-storage project. So those were specific to this conditional use that would be placed on the applicant. Additionally, we would suggest, based on what we heard at that meeting, that the city would take any necessary steps to improve the drainage on Magnolia Drive and add a no outlet sign near the intersection of Magnolia Drive and Weisenbaker. I think we talked about it a couple meetings ago, that there is that sign on that road, but it's further down, and it'd be better to have another one closer to the entrance that people would see when they turned onto Magnolia.
Any questions from council for Ms. Lewis?
Since our first reading, have you had any public comments or anything from the public?
So we have, I've had a couple. We had the letter from the attorney that was provided to y'all in advance of the last meeting on July 10th. And then we also had the email that was sent today by one of the residents. I believe that was sent to all of y'all. So
Well, I have it here if you'd like me to read it.
I was gonna say, and I have a copy.
Pass it around.
Okay.
Came through this morning.
Ms. Lewis, on these conditions, I may be wrong, but it seemed like I recall seeing some communication in regards to a question about widening and the Magnolia Drive. Is there some issue with that?
Yeah, so I'll address that briefly, and then I know that the applicant is here and can speak to that. So that was a condition that came out of the meeting, and we had also talked about. And then when we talked about it a little bit more with the applicant, they felt that condition would be hard to meet, that the financial considerations for the project didn't really warrant widening that road would be a little bit too much, but they can certainly speak to that one.
Have you all sit down and look at it, and do you all have any suggestion on what will be justifiable for
widening?
for the whole project? Anything that you all see that would be reasonable? Because undoubtedly, I was thinking that the meeting would determine a balance. And so you don't have that balance here, or do the staff recommend a balance?
Well, I think the staff is supportive of the conditions that were recommended. Certainly after that meeting on the 1st, there were many more conditions that were suggested as part of that. And when we went through them, some of them just seemed either unreasonable or that we couldn't place those on the applicant.
Did you create a list on that? Did you have a list on that other than the one in the package? Because the
Yes.
one on the package is complete with the road widening and everything.
Right, so the original one, and I can see if I have it in my file. The original one was what was sent back when we had first reading. It listed all of everything that came out of that June 1st meeting.
But what is your department recommendation?
Our department recommendation is what's before you today.
Do you recommend approval?
Yes, staff is recommending approval, but with the conditions that we've suggested.
Now, Raymond, correct me if I'm wrong, but if this self-storage site changes hands, they will have to come back to get these conditional use, or, so if the property changes hands, say if they decide to sell, will it still be that, or will the new applicant?
It'll still be that.
So can we place a condition on if there's a sale that they have to come back, or?
Will it be placed on the property in general?
Okay, so the conditional use is for the property?
It's the property,
Okay,
not the developer.
okay.
Any other questions from council for Ms. Lewis or comments?
Thank you.
The public or petitioner?
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Couple of things, after the meeting we had as a group, and I apologize, I was not able to attend first reading, I was out of town. So I think there was a little bit of confusion there as far as what the list was and the motion, and nothing was it wasn't repeated what the actual motions were. And I think Keith got a little bit confused by that, to be honest. This isn't, he don't do this every day. So, I don't remember. I think the 18-wheeler comment and I think the road widening comment must have come in after the meeting. I don't remember, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Lewis, but I don't remember us talking about that in our meeting, the public, what do you call that? The public meeting we had at town hall.
Informational meeting.
The informational meeting. I don't remember those being discussed, and we didn't agree to them at that meeting. Nothing was really agreed to. We proposed a handful of conditions that were amenable to the developer. However, coming back to that, I think the couple of things that we need to discuss tonight is the road widening, the 18-wheelers having access or not, and then I want to clarify the last bullet. We can start there. The approval of this application does not constitute approval to use the adjacent R4 property as part of the self-storage project. We understand we're asking conditional use on the GC parcel, but the R4 property will be needed from a stormwater standpoint. Does anybody, staff or council have issue with that? Is that what this is saying, or is this, we're not implying that we can use self-storage on the R4 property, that's not the intent, but that's the question. Because this isn't really black and white to me.
Terry, could you define the reason why they can't use that property on the drain, for the drain, because it's an R4?
Sure, I think that it hasn't been fully decided if they can or can't use that property, but I think in my discussion, there were concerns that we didn't want to tie this approval to the use of that property. It's not saying that the property can't be used. It's also not saying that the property can be used for drainage.
Okay.
We're saying that it may or may not be able to be used. And I know that's not a final answer, but there are legal things that we have to look into to see whether you can, whether a property that's separately zoned but used for this parcel can be used as part of it.
And there could be other options on that this piece of property here, as far as that goes as well. So I don't think council tonight is prepared to make any commitment to this R4 piece of property and not, we don't want to give you any indication that it's even a possibility. That has nothing to do with what we're doing here tonight.
I agree with you. Can we remove that condition from this approval and we can sort that out? I hear you, but like you said, we're not here to discuss the R4 property, correct? So that's one thing. 18-wheelers. So we have to have 18-wheelers or this self-storage facility will not work. People move from out of the state all the time. They're not moving in a small box truck. They're moving in an 18-wheeler. A lot of our friends in the Army and all the other branches of the military, the Army moves them for them, and they don't get to choose. Well, you only can use a 30-foot box truck, and they have a right to use whatever storage facility they want to use. So if that's a non-starter, and again, we can't widen a city road for this small project. This is a small project. This is not a 1 million square foot warehouse. So if those are non-starters for the city, then we're just gonna go back and develop this under the by right commercial uses. And so we're asking you to remove those 3 items. Anything else on my notes here? Yeah, I think that's our ask. We're willing to do the majority of this list. And those are the 3 things that we would like removed.
I guess my first question in regards to the 18-wheelers is would an 18-wheeler even be able to access this property, even if you allow them to?
We will certainly handle that. Like to me, that's an engineering thing, right? We can figure out if 18-wheelers can make that turn and how he can make that turn onto that road. But so it's nothing to say that one of the residents on Magnolia couldn't have an 18-wheeler if they was a log truck driver. Or if this property was developed in any other various commercial uses that is allowed, that wouldn't be a restriction. That's an engineering thing that we will work out with staff as to how they get in and out.
Mr. Mayor, that road's not ready for 18 weeks.
What does that mean, Jim?
I mean, we go wait.
Okay.
Is that just for the Magnolia Drive, Tim, or is that for Weisenmaker also?
Weisenmaker for him, up to Magnolia. Because that was put in as a heavy duty road when it was redone.
Because there's commercial already there.
Mostly Route 8 Street are built with that, for that impact. Those streets that feeds off, not good ones.
I think we could have a geotechnical engineer evaluate the road as well, if that helps. I don't know if the city's had anybody look at it lately. We have a geotechnical engineer involved in the project already. So if there's a weight issue, then obviously we'd have to deal with that no matter what the use would be. However, this is it's not that many trips, right? A couple of trucks a month. It's not an industrial site that's gonna see dozens or hundreds of trucks a day.
You mentioned 3 things, but I really have an issue with removing the separation of the R4 property from it. And this doesn't say that you can't do it. It's just saying that it's not taking, you're not assuming or believing that R4 is going to be allowed. And we want to make that real clear that if you're thinking that piece of property is going to be for retention or detention, we're telling you here tonight, don't assume that.
Well, I would request that Mr. Lynn weigh in on that a little bit, because while we're here tonight was after a conversation with Mr. Lynn. So we had a conversation with them about, hey, after, I think there was some conversations about, can we have, or can we come back with a conditional use request for the GC? I said, and then obviously if the stormwater's a problem, then we'd have to rezone that. Or we'd be asking for both tonight. So I really hope we haven't wasted a lot of time if that is the case.
I'm not sure, but, Raymond, help me out if I'm wrong. I think because of the uses and the zonage, you have certain things that you can do, you'll have to do to even put commercial next to R4. And so I don't know how they go away, and I can't tell you exactly what it is. But you have certain.
The answer to that question will take a lot of legal research because this is going to be fact specific to the use for R4. Normally you have R4, meaning that if you have a subdivision, detention or retention is usually secondary to the R4 use itself when it goes into those particular areas, not as a primary use. But once again, that would have to be researched.
What conversation did you have with Mr. Lynn?
We just had a meeting at their office about it and said, hey, and please speak for yourself.
And I think what Raymond touched on is what we had talked about is residential uses do have separate areas within those residential uses specifically for a detention pond. And that's why we had Raymond weigh in about that, because this is the first one I've seen that doesn't have the residential uses associated with it. And, you know, keeping the commercial and residential separate, they weren't asking for them to be rezoned. So that was our conversation, is if, you know, if it's not being developed commercial, can it still be a retention pond? Because you see that, you know, dedicated area within subdivisions that are its own lot of record that is nothing but detention. So I think that's where, if I remember right, that's the kind of conversation we had.
And we're fully prepared that, you know, obviously we got to get approvals first, but we've already discussed with our attorney to how to restrict both parcels so that one can't be sold without the other. So if that one, assuming this goes forward and the pond can be on the R4 to serve the commercial, I'm just gonna come out commercial for now, that there'll be a deed restriction put on both properties so that they have to go together wherever they go. I think that was talked about previously as well. It's not listed on the conditions, but that's something we'll have to do.
All right, well, to the other point about the 18-wheelers, and I think you've got two things that are kind of connected here. You're saying that you have issue with repaving and widening Magnolia, but you've heard from our staff that indicates that Magnolia is not adequate to handle an 18-wheeler. So, you know, you can't have it both ways. So
Sure.
what are we gonna do to address that?
You can have a really wide road that still doesn't meet the loading for an 18-wheeler though, right? It might be that's a section problem, not necessarily like how thick the asphalt is, how thick the rock is versus how wide the road is. We can evaluate that and make an engineering decision and financial decision for the project. For sure.
Well, I mean, if
That'll need to
the
be-
road is not adequate to handle an 18-wheeler, then that makes the 18-wheeler automatic that you can't allow them on there. So I'm saying you can't, you know, if you're not willing or able to bring the road up to the capability of handling an 18-wheeler, then you're telling us that we're gonna have to say 18-wheelers are not allowed.
Well, we didn't say we were gonna have to, we would like not to ride in the road. If the road, we'll have the road section study as part of our engineering study. And if the road cannot handle the loading, then we'll either have to deal with it or we'll have to pivot and do something different with that parcel. But right now, just from, what would you do on any other property that's zone commercial that's buttoned up to a city street? Because that's what it is today.
I think what we would do is what we're suggesting here tonight.
Okay.
I mean, that's what we're.
We can study the loading. We can study the loading, for sure.
All right, so your stormwater is gonna run off into the pond, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Any other questions for this gentleman? I hear your concerns, and we're all hearing that. All right, anyone from the public who would like to address this issue, please?
Good evening. I'm Charlene Reynolds, 208 East Myrtle Street, right in the middle of all of this, okay? I did this afternoon, I know it was late, but I had to, I've said this before, sometimes I have to wait for the Spirit to move me. And the Spirit moved me today, and I sent this out at 2:12 p.m. to the mayor and all the council members. I tried to send one to you, Mr. Dickey, but it wouldn't go through, okay.
It's not,
And-
it's not the correct one. I don't get city email forwarding.
Very good, very good. Okay, well, anyway, for everybody's benefit, I will read this, okay? This is easier than standing here and talking, although I may have some comments afterwards. I wrote, the residents and neighbors of Brookhaven subdivision are opposed to the proposed self-storage facility at 0 Magnolia Drive. Those opposed would include residents on Magnolia Drive, East Myrtle Street, Pineland Drive, and Weisenbaker Road. We do not believe it would promote the health, safety, and well-being of our community, which is the definition of a conditional use for this property. We understand that a self-storage facility is one of the conditional uses for this GC zoned lot. We think that if the entrance to the storage facility were from Highway 21 instead of Magnolia Drive, this would be safer and less disruptive for the residents. A meeting was scheduled for June 1st, 2023, with some city representatives, the owners, and the residents to come up with conditions that we could agree on for the proposed self-storage facility to go forward. The meeting did not go as originally planned. The meeting site was changed at the last minute, and residents and representatives of the press were not notified. The city manager and city council members did not attend as we were originally told they would. There were no minutes of this meeting, so we do not know what was agreed on. Minutes are important so that all sides can agree that certain conditions were agreed upon and will be followed. Thank you for your attention to this matter. And I did hear the gentleman ahead of me mention something about the R4 lot. You know, that has always been a point of contention for the people that live next door to the R4 lot, okay? Because the retention pond would drain into their pond on their personal. But again, nothing has been approved. So those were our concerns, the residents and the people in the neighborhood, okay? And again, you know, it's not just Brookhaven subdivision. It's those people from Weisenbaker who come over to walk their dogs because we're a quiet neighborhood. We have 2 dead-end streets. So they know the only people who live back there are going to be accessing those streets, okay? And also, you know, people bring their babies over in strollers and they walk over there because it's nice and quiet and the dogs don't bother them. So again, we're a nice, quiet, established neighborhood. We have been there a long, long time. I myself have been there 50 years. My next door neighbor has been there 63 years. So we're all longtime residents. And we would like our subdivision to stay as a subdivision, okay? So anyway, those are our concerns, and I hope that you will vote favorably. But again, you are the council, and you are the mayor, and the city manager, and the attorney, and you have the power, okay?
Thank you, Ms. Reynolds. Would someone else like to speak to this agenda item? All right. Council questions or comments? And what we've got before us right now are the recommended conditions. And we've heard some comments in regards to, in particular, 3 of those, but council can certainly strike any of those or add to these conditions if we need to before we move any further with this.
Man, I thought this would be the best part for that area because something going there, and I hate to think of some of the things that can go there. But the only concern I've had is, I think we have some assumption out there, some assumption that, that lot next door could be used for some of the things that are on that we've got some things to go through in order for us to tell them their responsibility that that lot can be used. And also on that weight restriction, you think about that short term on that weight restriction on that particular road. And that's something needed to be addressed. And in a project like this, it's a low volume project, but it's going, in that area, it's gonna cause for a lot of stuff because if they can't use that pond, the other type of holding that water is quite expensive. We're willing to go that way. And we can't tell them tonight that, yeah, you can use our boat, that lot next door. That's the only thing I hate about it. But I feel that's one of the best things that could go in there because out of what can go there without having to come back to council. Just in concern of the neighborhood.
As far as the 18-wheelers go, I think I would be okay with not necessarily removing it, but making a condition of conditional use that the road can support and can support 18-wheelers, and if it does not, then we need to keep the 18-wheelers in there. That's kind of my preference on that. I mean, I definitely agree with what Levi's saying as well, but I think we need to put something in there about them surveying the road, and if the road does not support the 18-wheelers, then 18-wheelers are not permitted.
For what it's worth, I looked at this and I thought about it all back and forth. Initially, I was not in favor of it. The residents had concerns, and I definitely heard their concerns. I voted for it the last meeting, but I didn't feel good about it. And for what it's worth, if there's a motion to approve, I'm voting that. Because I've again grappled with it. We've gone round and round. We've had meetings and when I decided, hey, I'm voting no, I was at peace and I thought, well, that must be the right decision. And again, we've tried to make it work, but not every project is going to work in every area. So that's, I'm just putting I'm not voting before because we're not taking an official vote. I'm just letting you as a council, my fellow council members know. And I believe with this vote, we have to have 4 affirmative. If I remember correctly, Ms. Taylor is going to abstain. So if that's the case, it's not going to pass anyway. So I'm just putting that out there for discussion.
We can't keep doing this to this gentleman. I mean, he's spending a lot of money each time he goes. People don't realize how much money you have to spend to even get the architectural plans, to get all of this. And this is the second time he's been to us. And I was abstaining because I have neighboring property.
I think I hear a question in the audience, and I'll just bring it to our attorney. I think, and we didn't make that clear up front, but in the past, you have recused yourself from this
Right.
item. And I think that would
Stay
prevent you
abstaining.
from any discussion on the item, not only
Oh, okay.
the vote as well. So
Well-
if I'm correct in that, Mr. Dickey, I don't know.
That's correct.
You know, Reese, you brought something to mind when you were just talking, which is, you know, you're right, the property owner knew what he was buying when he bought it, and this is something out of the ordinary, so I can definitely understand that. As a matter of fact, you know, when you buy property, you kind of should already have a plan of what you're gonna do with the property, so I can definitely understand that. I'm trying to think about not only the residents, but the owner of the property as well, but, you know, I don't know, I mean, trying to kind of bend whichever way I think is the best way, you know?
And Mr. Mayor, if it's okay if I just remind everybody that I confirmed with the attorney, this is a zoning action, so if there is a denial, the applicant or any property owner would have to wait at least 6 months before coming back to you all with anything further, just to put that out there so that they know and to remind you all.
And that was my next concern, because even if they decide to move forward, we can't guarantee an R4 could be a part of that project, then you'll have to go through underground detention. Underground detention, is gonna change that project. It's gonna blow the price off that project.
Well, I think we've heard comments, we've had our questions answered. There is, I guess, if there are no other questions or information needed, a motion is in order. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, we see the way this is going. We're gonna formally request that this application be removed tonight and no vote. And this will be formally removed from we requested it be removed, and, we withdraw this application. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, sir, can I get your number?
Thank
All
you.
right, item one, new business is withdrawn by the petitioner. Item number two, new business is a vote on the first reading on a petition filed by Alejandro Gamara on behalf of Manheim Shipping Line LLC requesting a rezoning for a 5.08 acre parcel located at 801 Old Augusta Road South to amend the zoning from B3 Highway Commercial District to LN Limited Industrial Use. It is owned by Manheim Shipping Line LLC, parcel number 04750057A00. Ms. Lewis, any information you'd like to provide on this?
Yeah, so the rezoning came before you 2 meetings ago for a public hearing. There were some comments related to hours and to the use itself. And I think somebody on behalf of the applicant spoke to the fact that they could still do this use within the county. There is an annexation that is going along with this today as well.
Mr. Rushing, would you like to?
I can add a little bit there.
Certainly, please.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, members of council, as you recall, my name is Steve Rushing. I'm an attorney in Statesboro representing the applicant this evening on this project. They are a shipping company, and when they acquired the project in 2019, the county zoning did permit terminal operations and warehousing. But at that time, we were thinking that, we needed a little higher water pressure to operate, and that the city water would be a good opportunity. But I think what really sparked this is when the development authority that owns the property behind this connected and was annexed into the the city. That gave us an opportunity. We became contiguous to the city. And so that gave rise to now an ability to connect to the city water and sewer system, that we could then achieve the higher water pressure levels that would operate. It's a relatively speaking, looking at around the county now, a small warehouse logistics operation, about 67,500 square feet. Last time we were here, we had something to throw it up on the screen, and so I brought one this week, but I don't see that mechanism. But it would call, of course, for all of the buffers around all four sides to protect the adjoining property owners. There was some discussion about the road traffic. We've not had a traffic engineering report. However, there was a gentleman that came up to us after the meeting and had indicated that it was his information that the county had some plans to improve the old Augusta Road in this area. So I tried to confirm that earlier today and was not able to get him on at the county. But that's, I think the road is certainly in its even present condition would accommodate that. But I do understand any improvements would by the county would assist in that. But that's how we got here, and that's how in talking with the city planning staff, they told us this was the efforts we'd have to do, the annexation coupled with the rezone. I think mainly because the county has, I think they've modified their zoning ordinance. I do think that we would be grandfathered since this property was actually zoned highway commercial in the county before 19, I think it was in 2017 that actually received the zoning. But we would like to proceed with the project if we could get annexed and then in a position to connect to the city's water system. I've got my builder here tonight if y'all have any questions on that. Thank you.
Council, any questions from Mr. Rushing or staff in regards to this item? Anyone from the public that would like to speak in regards to this item? Right, we are open to discussion or a motion.
I think on the practice side of it, the county does have some plans in to improve that road and also extend egress access where areas of subdivision and homeowners are in that area along that road. Actually, that was part of the plan in the last meeting that we had with the county.
Any other questions or comments from council or staff? If not, a motion is in order. Motion approved.
Second.
Have a motion by Mr. Brower, second by Mr. Blackwell, to approve first reading on a petition filed by Alejandro Gamaro on behalf of Manheim Shipping Line LLC requesting a rezoning for a 5.08 parcel located at 801 Old Augusta Road South to amend the zoning from B3 to LN. Property is owned by Manheim Shipping Line LLC. Any other question or discussion? Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Brower?
Yes.
Mr. Blackwell?
Yes.
Ms. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Kirk?
Yes.
Item number 3, new business, is a vote on the second reading of a petition filed by Lawrence Alexander Homes LLC on behalf of Maui Plaza LLC requesting a variance to reduce the minimum width of each lot within a proposed 35-lot subdivision. The property is located at 1678 Fort Howard Road and is zoned R4, single-family residential, parcel number 04630029. This is second reading. We've gotten information, Ms. Lewis, I don't know if there's anything new that we need to add Anything for the petitioner that you would like to add or information?
I think this is, everybody's pretty familiar with the property. I just like to remind you that we're not changing the overall size of the lots and whatnot. We're just trying to reconfigure them to make this work around the wetlands. And I mean, I think everybody's pretty familiar with that, but I'm here if you have any questions or anything additional that's come up since the last meeting.
Haven't wore you down yet.
No, haven't worn me down yet. Got the sidewalk, which it'll have to come up in the site or the sketch plan or whatnot. So I mean, even after the rezoning, we'll come in there. But yes, it's curb and gutters, sidewalk, so correct.
Make a motion to approve. Second.
Thank you.
A motion by Mr. Kirkland, second by Mr. Blackwell to approve second reading of petition filed by Lawrence Alexander Homes LLC on behalf of Maui Plaza LLC, requesting variance to reduce the minimum width of each lot within a proposed 35 lot subdivision. Property is located at 1678 Fort Howard Road and is zoned R4. Any other question or discussion? Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Brower?
Yes.
Mr. Blackwell?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Kirk?
Yes.
Item number 4, new business, is vote on the first reading of an ordinance to annex a 5.08 acre parcel located at 801 Old Augusta Road South. The property is owned by Manheim Shipping Line LLC, parcel number 04750057A00. This is property that we just rezoned.
Make a motion to approve.
And a motion by Mr. Kirkland, second by Mr. Scott to approve first reading of an ordinance to annex a 5.08 acre parcel located at 801 Old Augusta Road South. Property is owned by Manheim Shipping Line LLC. Any other question or discussion? Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Brower? Yes. Mr. Blackwell?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Kirk?
Yes.
Item number 5, new business, vote on an application filed by Jacob Lang on behalf of Rankin Express LLC requesting final site plan approval to construct a car wash facility on the site of the former fast food restaurant located at 450 South Columbia Avenue, parcel number R2570051. Lang. Ms. Lewis, anything new since we discussed this, or any recommendations?
So Planning and Zoning Board met on this and recommended approval of it. They were all very excited to see that the former building was going to be removed and something new built in its place.
Any questions for Ms. Lewis? Mr. Lang?
Good evening. Thank y'all for being here, Mayor and Council and staff. It's been a long time in the works. Project sat there since 2016 or 15. I've been trying to buy it since then. We finally got there. It had a lot of food restrictions on it, so that limits what we could do with it. But anyhow, if y'all have any questions, I'm available to answer them. I've owned and operated car washes since 2010 around Atlanta. And now that I moved back here, I'm gonna get a few going around here.
Well, the thing I'm most excited about is maybe we'll get that road fixed.
Fine, we'll do that.
Talk about that. I guess, you know, there are several areas in there that are pretty bad, but particularly right up, it appears to be right at the line where the entrance to Walmart begins. And I guess I just want to make clear that all of the work that will be done in regards to that work will address all of those issues right up to that point.
I believe they will. I will address everything on my property, the way that easement that was created with the Walmart. I don't have the right to fix other people's property, but I doubt Walmart's gonna stop me if I fix a little bit into their, into their travel way. But, that's the problem. A lot of the residents also call me, but the way
It
that.
should be from your property line to property line.
Oh, it will be
Yes.
on mine, because I want it to be first class, but, I mean, I don't know what happened when they built that road, but if you look from Rutland all the way down, I guess
Yeah.
it didn't have proper base or something.
Yeah, it wasn't built to the right standards.
Yeah.
Mr. Lane, looking at the drawings that were in our packet, I was trying to get the orientation of where the entrance and the building itself is in relation to, Highway 21, because there's no indication on the drawings. If we can decipher from the.
Okay, the building will be parallel to 21,
Parallel, okay.
and
So it's gonna be at the back of the lot.
the building's gonna be at the front of the lot, and all the parking will be at the back. I brought some elevations, I don't know if y'all care to see it. That may help you out a little bit.
Right.
Because when you challenge, a lot of these car washes have, some of them
So what
try
I'm
to put
saying,
glass.
here's your building, this would be Highway 21 on this side.
That is correct.
Okay.
Where? This is 21.
So Highway 21 will be right there.
Yes.
That's what they would indicate here.
So that Walmart street or right of way. So the Walmart right of way is going to be closed, so they're not gonna be able to turn in from that Walmart right of way, they'll go around.
Next to the bank.
No, they come in off the main road to Walmart as far back as they can get. Right now, the KFC has, it's about the exact same place the KFC entrance is, all the way at the back. That's the only place they can get in. So they won't back up into the signal or anything. We put it as far back as we can. And it's got errors on the site plan, but this will flow a lot better than the current car wash. People will come all the way around. There's a lot of queue before the pay stations. They'll circle through the car wash and they can exit multiple ways, or they can serpentine through the vacuums and come right back out. It's kind of designed so they don't conflict as bad with the entrance and the exit. Flow a little easier so people vacuum in, don't have to, those perpendicular parts are hard to get out of. Our vacuum stalls are a little wider than most. Just, we figured out user enjoyment generally leads to a higher ticket average.
Here for 1 second.
Yes, ma'am.
So where do we go in? This is 21.
Oh, yes.
This is Highway 21.
Right.
There's the back. So this is the Walmart parking. And then this is the pay station. This is fire circulation, get down, can do that, that's only an exit. So that's the exit on, that's exit on, yes, sir. Come through here, this is the tunnel. So if you don't vacuum, they could come back out. Out here at the beginning, and that's out on. Yes, sir. So they would come out just like cars come out of it now. So anyone comes from the beach, they would have to join that traffic light. Now, the staff and the reviewer had asked us to put a landscape island there, which we tried to do as well. And then, but if there was cars stacked up and the car comes out the tunnel, it could come this way and back out. So we have 2 exit points for them, if they were to back out. But on a Saturday, Thursday through Saturday, this thing will be hopefully humming. Lots of cars.
Is this one gonna do drop-off detail as well?
It will not,
Okay, so it's just.
just express car wash, and vacuum and.
You know, the only thing I don't like about the one that's out here now, and I use it quite a bit, and I'll use yours too, is once you get in line, if something happens, you can't get out of line. You see what I'm saying? You're stuck.
That's correct, and that's why we have that escape at the end of our building. And we still gonna have to go through the pay station, but here, if there's a problem with a car, that's the problem you get a lot of times, like Dr. Suggs.
Right.
You're stuck. If there's a car that can't fit, if there's an antenna that won't go down, or whatever it may be, you can't kick them out. Ours, you'll be able to kick them out immediately to keep the flow. So if you get in, you are stuck for a minute, but we're running a car in there every 30 seconds, so it's going to run a little more efficiently.
Are you using recycled water?
Most of the water will be recycled, so there's 3 recycling pits. And the only water that's not recycled is at the very end, that last piece of equipment where the tires and wheels are washed. there's some stuff we don't return
It's front and back.
to the cars because you can't filter it out through settlement tanks and all that good stuff. But, most of the sediment and most of the chemicals are in the first two tanks and settling. And inside the car wash, a lot of people don't realize it's a big pit, a sump pump, where you have like a porta-john type truck comes in and pumps it out and pumps the dirt out. So it's a pretty clean water by the time it ultimately gets to the system. But some of those tire cleaners, you cannot precipitate out or filter out in the settling tank.
Echo that.
There's a lot to them.
Any other questions from council?
Thank y'all.
If there are no other questions, motion is in order.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. Blackwell, second by Ms. Taylor, to approve application filed by Jacob Lang on behalf of Rankin Express LLC requesting final site plan approval to construct a car wash facility on the site of the former fast food restaurant located at 450 South Columbia Avenue. Any other question or discussion? Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Brower? Yes. Mr. Blackwell?
Yes.
Ms. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Kirk?
Yes.
Item number 6, new business, request to accept the letter of credit for grass maintenance, infrastructure, and required tree planting. Request to accept the deed of dedication.
I was a little bit premature in putting this one on the agenda, and I would like to request that it be tabled to the August 14th meeting.
Motion carried. So, 14.
There's a motion by Mr. Scott, second by Mr. Brower to table item 6, new business, to the meeting of August the 14th. Any other question or discussion? Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Brower? Yes. Mr. Blackwell?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor? Yes. Kirk?
Yes.
Item number 7, new business, vote on first reading on a petition filed by Neil McKenzie with Coleman Company on behalf of Keystone Homes requesting a zoning map amendment for a 20.22 acre parcel located at 09th Street Extension to amend the zoning from R4 single family residential to R8 residential multi-unit detached. Property is owned by Peter Johnson Jr. and Franklin Lamont. Parcel number 2130001. Ms. Lewis, any new information or anything you'd like to present as far as a recommendation?
No, I'll just share that the public hearing was held on June 26th. Planning and Zoning Board met before that on June 13th and voted 5-2 to recommend denial of the request. Their concerns, which were shared at that public hearing as well, were related to traffic on 9th Street and the precedents that this rezoning could set.
I'm a little confused, and maybe I'm reading this wrong, so help me if I am. In regards to the motion and the action by the Planning and Zoning Board, the minutes read that Ms. Underwood motioned for denial of the application as submitted. Ms. Mydell seconded the motion. The motion was passed with Mr. Head, Mr. Griffin, Mr. Duran, Mr. Hills, and Mr. Wilson voted against the motion. And it says the vote is 5-2.
I think that might be an error in the minutes. So I believe, I'm trying to remember back, it's been a while. I think what happened was the first motion was a motion to approve and then that failed. And so they went with a motion to deny then. That's my recollection.
Okay. So I mean, so I'm really, yeah, I mean, Ms. Mydell, can you shed any light? I mean, it looks like you had 5 people vote against the motion. The motion was to deny.
Yeah. Oh, I understand what you're saying. I think I understand what you're saying. So, yeah, the motion was to deny, and it was passed to deny the recommendation was to deny. Does that make sense?
Well, then the vote would be 7-0, if that.
No, it was 5-2.
It was still 5-2 to deny it. 2 people did not agree with denying it, but 5 people did agree with denying it.
You may want to, if that's an issue, you may want to table it, have them go back and straighten out their minutes and reapprove those minutes.
Well, I mean, I don't know if that's necessary, but I guess I really just want to know what the recommendation is of the, I'm really confused by that.
Recorded? Did we record the meeting?
Yes.
Oh, they on the Facebook.
Yes, sure. Only was to do. Okay.
But you see the vote, I mean.
Yeah, I did,
it doesn't-
but they voted to deny. Carl, what 2 did not. That sounds about right.
And we could certainly clean up those minutes and have them reapproved at the next planning and zoning board meeting.
The minutes don't reflect it properly.
Okay, we'll make sure that we clean that up. But they did have a very lengthy discussion about this item. There were, similar to what was heard here at the public hearing, definite concerns about traffic and safety were the main concerns, both by the board and then at the public hearing.
I'm more concerned about, me personally, about precedent and how many other R8 properties do we have in the city of Lincoln?
Oh, I don't know how many we have in the city of Lincoln. I can certainly find that out before second reading. Now, some have been, I will say some have been as a result of a rezoning. I know the 2 on 9th Street have, just because I was doing research to see when those got approved. But certainly, I mean, I can give you an idea of not only how many parcels we have, but also kind of what that percentage is compared to other zoning districts.
Several years ago, there were 5 or 6 total properties that were zoned R8, and we were concerned with the density back then. I don't see how that's any different now by doing this as an R8.
I know you
That's what-
can't see it, I was trying to,
that's what's
put
happening.
it on the screen, but
Patrick,
it's just these 3.
There were, in one of those RAs that we do have, there was some certain conditions there. And, but what we did, we went back and having decreased the density. This is much larger. We look at the need because there's a requirement for housing and it's heavy right now. So what we tried to do with those 2, we tried to eliminate the impact on public safety as well as on traffic.
And I do know with this one, and correct me if I'm wrong, but while they're requesting the R8 zoning district, because there's not really one in between that fits, that also allows townhouses, they're proposing to build less than is allowed by the R8 zoning district. But certainly I'll let the applicant speak to that.
Good evening. My name is Neil McKenzie, here on behalf of Keystone Homes. As you heard, we're asking to zone from R4 to R8, and this is in response to the housing need that's here, that we have to solve this problem. And truly, the only way to do that is for parcels like this, these large parcels, is to get the density. So what this project offers, this is low cost, low maintenance living. That's kind of the purpose of this. And we're talking about density, and kind of the purpose of the density is, the cost of constructing a project like this, and the cost to acquire the property, and the cost to the improvements that you have to build to, offer homes at an affordable price. You have to have the density. I mean, that is the reason. It's definitely a financial need. So the density is there to kind of offset the costs of constructing a project like this. In preparation for this application, we did do a site plan. So in your package, you have a concept plan that shows what this could be. Also included, you got some elevations of the homes and the townhomes that Keystone builds. They build nice products, and this will be an HOA maintained property. So the plan is to subdivide these townhomes, and then the HOA would be responsible for the maintenance of the property. Traffic is an issue. We did a traffic study, and it was a positive, outcome for this project. I think that the two access points, one onto Howard and one on to West Ninth, really does mitigate a lot of the on-site impact that this might have. As far as, West Ninth, it's busy. It is a narrow road. It's a small right-of-way. And one of the concerns was bus stops and children getting on the bus and that kind of thing. And we looked at the plan. I sent in a plan update prior to the last meeting that added a bus pull-off area on Howard Street. So we do have space over there to build a place for a bus to pull off and have kids loading off the bus and get them out of the public right of way. So we do have room to accommodate that, and we're absolutely that is a feature that we can commit to.
Go back, you said a bus is on Howard Avenue?
Yes, sir.
Okay, what kind of turnaround?
Well, so if I may.
You gotta adjust that with the board area.
Yes, so, right, so all this is concept level. It's basically a pull-off off of Howard Street, so the bus would come in here and do its turn, and then they would pull off right here, and then back on to make that turn.
You have access into the
Yes.
development and then put the.
That's exactly right. Yeah. And if you guys, yes.
So can we put that up there?
Sure.
We don't have it.
I've got enough, I think, to pass out, but here's the bus pull off, here it's small, but what the plan is to bring buses in, they can come here and then turn in here, or they can come into this community, if they needed to. Since you have two access points, I think we could get them in and out of there. Same thing with emergency access and that kind of thing. It's incumbent upon us to make sure that those vehicles can make the maneuvering inside of this project. Number two is we held a neighborhood meeting, and we met with a lot of the residents and heard their concerns, a lot of which we can address when we prepare the construction plans. But once again, I think a lot of it is getting children off of Ninth Street, getting them to load on the buses, and providing a sidewalk and that kind of thing so it keeps them out of the road. We're committed to providing a walkway around our, project. And then finally, we're willing to do site plan specific conditions for this project. So we're willing to have a workshop with council and staff to talk about conditions that you guys might want to add. And we're willing to accept conditions for a site plan specific text or this map amendment. So with that said, I'm glad to answer any questions.
How many units?
It's shown at 102 now.
I mean,
102. 102. Which the density equates to less than 8 per acre.
how's that, I know Ms. Key's not here, but, I mean, we're getting pretty close on our, process of upgrading, but I'm waiting for the treatment capacity. Have we taken that into consideration?
We haven't, Mr. Key has not weighed in on this one yet, but we're still 2025 at the earliest for expansion.
And this is a lot of impact.
Mr. McKenzie, how would it be a total build out? Because you're gonna have several buildings with 4 to 5 units in each building.
That's right.
So
we would phase it.
That capacity, it'd be more than a year for it to be completely built out after you even get the roads developed.
That's right. So just as a typical time frame for a project like this, for us to survey and design, you've got 6 months. You got another 6 to 8 months to build the roads and the utilities and the site preparation. And then you probably have another 6 months after that to even have the first townhomes online. So you're looking at 18 months from today that you would have the first townhome that would be available to be
That would
online.
be late 24, December, or
That's right.
January.
At the absolute earliest.
Yeah.
And we would be willing to accept a certain amount of townhomes per year. That's also, a condition that we could talk about.
Mr. Brower, I appreciate you bringing that up because that is something we need to be concerned about from this point forward. We may be able to manage this project, but we're pushing our limit on our permit right now. And I would suggest to staff that any new development that comes forward, this would come through before it gets to us with a projection on the impact on our system and the projected date. We're projecting 25 having our system expanded. So I would say from this point forward, we need to make sure we see the impact of any new developments on our system. Just for future discussion, I think that's important.
This is all townhouses?
All townhomes. Yes, sir.
All townhomes. So like, what's the one there on Courthouse Road, what's the name of that one? That's the word. It's,
Carlisle Village.
yes, Carlisle Village, like Carlisle Village.
This council and previous councils have always done a good job of trying to manage the density and the build out in the city, and I think we've done a good job with that. And I'm not advocating one way or the other at this point, but I would just say that I think the housing needs are ever changing. I think the two things that I see that are impacting that right now is the future Hyundai plant and the Ceylon facility that's going to be right here in Rankin. That creates a different type of need for housing. The other thing I'm seeing is I'm seeing more and more multi-families living in R4 or residential homes. People are multiple families living in homes now. More and more I see that. And so, is that good or not? I don't know. But I mean, there is definitely a need for housing, affordable housing. And so those are two things I think that maybe need to be a part of the discussion.
I think you'll have a dog, for children to play. You are gonna have green space.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
The details of that are to be, in the plan, but, the developer has committed to amenities, dog park, play area, that kind of thing are on the table, for sure.
And I'm not saying it's approval, but even the concept of having that many houses in there, you're gonna have to have something to maintain kids in there.
Agreed. Yeah, I agree.
So that's not a ask.
It's a requirement.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's
the townhomes and small lots. As far as the traffic is, this is gonna be a little bit of impact on the traffic, but most of the traffic is not going to Ninth Street and turning off of Ninth Street. It's going through Ninth Street, Highway 21, all the way over to Blue Jay and McCall and the bypass. And then they're going from those subdivisions way over there, all the way over to Rankin, the shop, and back again.
Yeah.
So that's where most of the traffic comes from.
And that's what I'm saying, we can't sit here and just be concerned about the traffic count within the city limits. Because it's minute.
Yeah.
Our worst traffic is the throughways.
Yeah, look at
And
21.
Ninth Street, and the county is struggling now. They're looking at, I think we've got 4 roads on the table now that the county is struggling with, trying to get funding to improve those roads and their throughways. And increase the length of the decel accelerator. And out here on this road out here, it's, and we're talking about the bill out, well, I'm trying to think of, this project across the railroad track here.
I don't know the name of it.
Right across, The build out wasn't that long on that project. And you see where they are today?
That's gonna be coming
Because what they
in.
do when they get in there, all depends on how many contractors they get in there.
So 2 points to that, so our analysis did show that, West Ninth, and McCall failed today, and they failed miserably. So there's no real, the impact of this doesn't really affect that, and, and the counts do show that.
And the county, I think, realizes that, and they are looking at, as the bypass is completed, they're gonna redo that intersection there, Ninth and McCall.
And then the point number 2 is we can certainly put a limit on how many of these townhomes can be turned over, in a certain amount of time. So if council wanted to say 30% per year or some number like that, I think that we could agree to something like that.
A decent one, I think that's important. I mean, I know we're not to that point yet, but that's definitely a consideration. That needs to be taken into account if we make it about that.
Understood.
Chief, what's the largest duplex or apartment complex we've got? What are your calls looking at?
It's definitely our higher volume calls because of the volume of people.
Right, and it goes to a minute.
Right.
That's my problem.
There's about 1,600 units in there, too.
And it's a rental community, business not rental.
Yeah, it starts off not rental. Like behind, we've got quite a few that start off not rentals. And all of a sudden, I was investing somewhere and I go out there and buy one and rent.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as renting. I can build a mansion today, and guess what? You can rent it tomorrow.
It doesn't mean they're bad people though.
Mayor, council, real quick, this has nothing to do with this topic. Plantation Way is a private owned road, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
It is.
Sorry.
Council, y'all have made a precedent of turning down R8 in the past. I mean, I've been here on the last parcel that was just here for R4 variance that was turned down. It's 20 acres, same as this project right here. It was turned down for R8. It was turned down for R6. It was at 50 units. It was turned down at R5 at less than 40 units. We're at 35 units with a R4 variance, and we're making it work for affordable housing for our community. I mean, and this sets a precedent. If we were turned down for a parcel of equal size for R8, what makes this parcel any different? I mean, they're almost identical in size. We have less traffic over there than what they have here impacting our, 9th Street. I mean, I don't see a way that y'all can deny what's been brought before you on ours from R6, R5, all the way down, and then turn around and say, well, this is a great R8 project right here. I mean, I'm not saying that what they have shouldn't be considered or whatnot, but if that's considered, I think that opens the door to, I mean, I can tell you, if that's approved at R8, I'd probably be back here for an R6, just asking. Because, I mean, y'all, at that point, y'all set a precedence that y'all are willing to go with a higher density. I mean, I don't think that's fair for people who are constantly, I mean, this is only just a few months ago that I was in here for the same thing. And all these same concerns were brought up and ultimately denied or either tabled, and, we came to meet with staff and came up with an R4 variance, and we're able to offer affordable housing. But this isn't housing, this is townhomes too. These are not single family homes. They're putting people in townhomes, which ultimately end up as rentals. I mean, I build townhomes too. I build them all over, and I've got multiple neighborhoods across this county. And townhomes tend to be rental when it's all said and done. Pretty much every project that I've started that are townhomes, And I mean, this may be detrimental to me because I'm gonna be back, at some point for some townhomes, but I mean, I've started out with projects that were for sale townhomes, and it doesn't take long for an investor to buy up the entire project. And I would just ask that y'all consider that, before we place another large-scale, high-density community, in our city. So, thank you.
Funny you say that, because I just asked him, how many houses do you think would go there and not townhomes? I agree.
It'll be about 50. So I'm asking for about 50 more. And so density is relative, right? I mean, this is low density for what we're asking for. I think the R8, it allows up to 30 per acre. I'm asking for less than 8. So the density, while it may seem like a lot, is relative, and on this piece of property is probably not as bad as it sounds.
I'll tend to lean on the side of precedent. We only have what looks like maybe 3 properties that are already, and those are grandfathered for various other reasons. I feel like this is not the right use for that property, so I make a motion to deny.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Kirkland, second by Mr. Scott to deny first reading of a petition filed by Will McKenzie with Coleman Company on behalf of Keystone Homes, requesting a zoning map amendment for a 20.22 acre parcel located at 0 Union Street Extension to amend the zoning from R4 to R8. Property is owned by Peter Johnson Jr. and Franklin Lamont. Any other question or discussion?
My name is Davita Arbor. I'm a resident of Reagan, but I have vested interest, so I'm just gonna be upfront. I am trying to see in
R4.
just this, okay, because I don't know, I'm just trying to see, it seems as if we're not pro-growth here. I don't know, I'm just.
We're not pro, it's not that we're not pro, but we consider safety first.
Right.
Public safety first. Commercial side, they can come in, but we can't make them come in. We can reach out to them for shopping, other things like movie theaters and stuff like that.
They want rooftops.
Yeah.
They want rooftops.
Because, I don't know, it's just something that I'm seeing, they're saying, you would rather commercial, but a lot of the commercial developers, or however you want to say it, they're being denied as well. So I don't know, I'm just trying to get an understanding of what the council desires.
You make some valid points. I guess the one thing here tonight, and we're speaking in particular to this issue, we recognize we've got some opportunities, whether it be recreation, safety, amenities, whatever it might be. But the one thing we do know is that we don't want to compound our problem here tonight. And that's what this would do.
Okay.
That's the easiest way I can put it, is it will make our problem worse.
Okay.
So.
Okay. I'm sorry, I just wanted some clarity because I believe they've come here for R6 previously and was denied, which is a lesser density.
All right, thank you. All right, any other question or discussion from council? Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Brower? Yes. Mr. Blackwell? Yes. Ms. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Kirk?
Yes.
Item number 8, new business, is vote on an application filed by Tim Kinsey with Core Design and Architecture Incorporated on behalf of Prana Incorporated, requesting final site plan approval for an expansion to an existing convenience store. Parcel is located at 801 South Columbia Avenue and is zoned general commercial, parcel number R2720010. Ms. Lewis, I don't know, is there anyone here from?
I don't see our applicant here. And I sent everybody a reminder at the end of last week with a copy of the agenda. This is for at the Sunoco in front of, by Silverwood. They're requesting to do an addition to the side of it to add a Baldino sandwich shop. Planning and zoning board met on it and had no concerns.
I don't feel comfortable moving forward without being able to address some questions with the petitioner, so I would recommend the council to table.
I make most of the table to the second.
Yes. Next meeting.
August 14th.
All right, I have a motion. Kirkland, second by Mr. Blackwell, to table item 8, new business, for the meeting of August the 14th. Any question or discussion? Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Brown? Yes. Mr. Blackwell?
Yes.
Ms. Taylor?
Yes.
Number 9 was withdrawn. We're moving to item number 10. Mr. Daniel Kirkland requests to appear before council.
Right. Good evening.
It's got all the looks in the family. Huh?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to address the council today. Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Good evening to the council members and the members of the public. I hate that the previous presenters left because what I want to talk about is money and revenue and how the city is going to be developed in the future and discuss open ideas and some thoughts that I've had in my mind to present to the council, just to consider some things. You may have considered these already, but let's just talk about it. I live in Linfield, Auckland, New Zealand. I am a resident there. I am here visiting in Rincon, and I've been visiting with my family a couple of times over the last few years. Thank you for coming back. I think you enjoyed this portion of the agenda. And what I see is a need for revenue, a need for money to do things. So I'm gonna listen to the meeting, and there's a need to improvement of our wastewater facilities, maybe even stormwater facilities, a place for kids to go for entertainment instead of going to pool or 4 outlet malls. How not having something here in Rincon, a place for people to develop. Now, where does the council want the city to be in the future? What type of city does the council want the city to be in the future? So I have some ideas just to share with you to see what your thoughts are. As we know that the majority of revenue comes from tax. So income tax, I'm talking about the city revenue, income tax, sales tax, and property tax. I'm aware that Rincon does not have a property tax, and I'm not proposing that here today for residential. I'm proposing that we think of some innovative ideas to help raise funds. One idea I had was to, and interrupt me at any time, this is not a monologue, annex of more land, possibly, public funding or voluntary property tax. So what I mean by voluntary property tax is we send a bill and we say this is not a requirement, but a request to pay property tax, and we annex that fund, we earmark those funds to a particular project. Say we are trying to upgrade our stormwater facilities so we can improve more R6 and R8 projects. Or we're trying to update our stormwater facilities because we want to have more R4 projects or residential, or we want to introduce more commercial, family-friendly businesses into the neighborhood. We want more car washes. Whatever you want, we're still going to need to upgrade these facilities. So that's an idea. I see the rodeo here that you have going on. I'm pretty sure that's going to raise some funds. Maybe we could do some more of those things. I'm aware that there's a prominent member of politics that lives in the area. Maybe we can do something like, I think Barack Obama started it, and then Donald Trump did it as well, where you invite people for a dinner with prominent public figures, and you ask them to donate money, and you win a dinner with someone, and you can have it somewhere in Rincon. That's an idea to raise some funds. You could, if you wanted to, you could invite certain prominent schools like SCAD into the area to promote a offsite campus.
They don't pay taxes.
What's that?
They don't pay taxes.
They don't pay taxes? Okay. Okay. You can look for more funding from the state and the county. So you could just use your networks, maybe Effingham County or maybe even the state of Georgia, to try to allocate some more funds for the city. Promote Rincon as the residential property tax-free city in the area to invite more people to come in. Maybe you could appoint a person, a member of the public, someone that's interested. If I was living in the town full-time, I would certainly be interested in this, to start to develop and research some of these ideas to see if we can get some groundwork going. There's my list. I'm a list kind of person. Thoughts, questions, concerns? Am I full of it? Do I have some good points? What are we thinking?
Let me start with, he refused to tell me anything about what he wanted to talk about.
I said revenue.
He did say revenue, that's all he said, so I did not,
I am related to this Kirkland here on the board, just so you know. Yeah, I'm related to him.
One of the things that, I've talked about is trying to promote, and that, I realize he's smart like his older brother, but, bringing in someone to try and promote the city, I think that's something we can definitely look at, really, to, bring in those commercial businesses. Family friendly, I've been talking about it for several years, bringing the family friendly.
The previous.
We've talked about it,
We've worked that, and maybe it wasn't the right timing. We've done that. We brought people in to promote the city, work with the businesses, try to look at what we can do to improve the business and stuff like that. Another thing people think, he mentioned, and basically what he's talking about, when he's talking about asking people to donate money for a cause, it's a foundation. I was involved with the foundation started over 4 years ago. And right now, we're taking in somewhere in the $40,000-$50,000 a year. But it takes staff and working with it. But they do a lot of places have foundation. What you do, you kind of gear it to what you're trying to do. And they work.
Would it be a high ask to ask people that wants to develop R4 and R6 and R8 properties to, if it's gonna put a strain on stormwater or wastewater, for them to contribute to the upgrade of that facility as part of the application? Would that be an ask? Is that something that, we haven't done in the past? If you want to develop something that's gonna put an impact on the city, or a strain on the city, then you have to contribute towards that. Because the citizens of the city are already contributing to it for their everyday taxes, and they're not getting the benefit of that residential property income that developer is going to have.
So from the developer side, we do contribute in the taps, things like that. And those are, and correct me if I'm wrong, they determine how much that is to upgrade the line. The usage of those taps are calculated. So when we pay the taps, for instance, my 35 lots, when we pay that fee right there, that is the fee that is supposed to go in to add the upgrade to bring that back to square one. So, the taps and all that's what those are meant for. Now, whether those tap fees need to be reevaluated for the growth that's coming, that's one thing, but that's what the tap fees are designed to do, is to replenish what you're adding.
It's paying forward. And what they do, we have the engineers come in, they study it each year and send it into the state.
Have we got enough state funding, from the state of Georgia? Are we promoting what the previous speaker said, what does the council want this city to look like? What does the council want the city to be? Do we want to be the family-friendly town where people come in and they stay in their big houses? Or do we want to have a town where people have small, medium-sized, large houses? What are we trying to do? What are we trying to accomplish here? And just go with it. And whatever we're doing, just go with that. And that's what Rincon's all about. And that's what Rincon is. So we can start raising funds, so we can start creating awareness for the city and attract people into the city.
Well, I got to put my 2 cents in here.
Go ahead.
Because I like what the man here is saying. I just want to put it out there and just make sure that mayor council is remembering that one of the biggest assets you have is the golf course. Okay, so
golf course.
It's all about green, which is money. And so what we are trying to do now at the golf course is we are trying to expand outside of Rincon. We appreciate your Rincon residents, okay? However, We want to bring in money from Pooler, from Savannah. I live in Bluffton. We had some people from Sun City come today. So that is something we are trying to do, because I do believe that perhaps one of the biggest assets we do have is the golf course. And as long as we continue to grow that, so thank you to, like, Miss Michelle and everyone for doing, the beautification of the golf course, and especially our clubhouse and stuff. We're up in the ante, and we're gonna start bringing people in. And when we do that, that means that we're gonna have more revenues. And of course, once we get some of our big expenses paid for, then we're gonna start having more of a net profit, right? And so then I would expect to where when we do have other projects we need to have done, here's from the golf course. I don't need to contribute to the, I don't need something from the general fund because I can do it, right? So we are working toward that.
When you look at the, the State Magazine of Georgia, I got it when I crossed over and at one of the rest areas, I was looking for Rankin. I was like, where's there something about Rankin or this county, or there's nothing there. And I mean, I don't know how much it takes to get into something like that at the, at the rest stops and things. But even just promoting the golf course, like you said, we have one of the best golf courses in Georgia. Georgia, I believe, has more public golf courses than any other state in the nation. I mean, in the nation.
Here, so I don't know if you're
What'd you say?
I said, you got Augusta here, so I don't know if you're going.
Yeah, I know. This is a small town field.
Disrespect.
Yeah. I know.
Not Augusta, that's for sure.
It's not Augusta.
Because if we were.
Yeah, it's not Augusta. But we can go off the coattails of Augusta, the warm up to Augusta, whatever you can say. Anyway, I don't want to take too much of your time because I see you got a lot on the agenda. I'll stop talking and answer any more questions that people might have.
Any questions?
Thank you for your points.
Appreciate you.
No problem.
Yeah,
No problem.
bringing that, some things that cause us to think a little bit about it.
Yeah.
Now, I will say this, we have people all the time that come down here from New York telling us how to do things.
I'll say this, first thing, so he's been here for almost 2 weeks, and one of the first things he said when we got here was, we gotta go all the way to Pooler to do this.
Yeah.
Why we gotta go all the way into Savannah? And
That is.
it's what I've been talking about for a number of years, we need to bring some stuff here.
We
to Kansas
do.
City.
Yeah.
We really do.
All right, thank you, Mr. Kirk.
Yes.
All right, item number 11, new business, is request approval to surplus 3 old fire apparatus.
Mayor and council, of course, we moved back into the city of June 30th. These were 2 of our oldest 20-year-old apparatus, over 20-year-old apparatus that could be used to surplus the brush truck. Since we don't have any wildland urban interface, we already have 2 rescue trucks that can handle that for us. So we're looking to put them out for sealed bid, but we got to surplus them first.
Make a motion to approve.
Have a motion by Mr. Kirkland, a second by Mr. Scott to approve surplusing 3 old fire apparatus, and for the record, we'll list them as brush truck, 1 brush truck, 2008 F-550, engine 7, Seagrave, and an engine 8, 2001 Seagrave. Any other questions, discussion?
So you got minimum bids on these, right?
I will have minimum bid 7, yes.
Any other questions? Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Brown? Yes. Mr. Blackwell?
Yes.
Ms. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Kirk?
Yes.
Thank you, council.
12, request to approve the file permit, provide updated planning and development software, line item number 100, 7400, 521200.
All right, so everybody else has requested their software upgrade, so I'm here requesting ours. So I think everybody knows we have EnerGov with Tyler right now. We've had a lot of issues with it. There are a lot of things that we want to be able to do to include online permit submittals. That'll be better for the public out there. They'll still be able to come in and do a hard copy submittal if they want, but for our out-of-town customers or customers where it's not as easy for them to come in, they'll be able to do that online. They'll be able to pay online if they want to do that. Right now, they have to call or bring in a check or credit card. It's very updated looking. One of the big questions I had was related to customer service because we have had really bad customer service with EnerGov, and they were able to answer our questions, to be able to show how, with other communities, that they respond fairly quickly. There's a lot of leeway for us to be able to do some creating within the system. So let's say, for example, that we, that we bring before council a request to update fees. And so we would be able, if council adopted that, we would be able to implement that in the system rather than having to wait for somebody from Cloud Permit to do it. We did do a bid request. We had two companies submit bids. Cloud Permit, not only was it the least expensive over a 3-year time period, it also, in looking at their product and in talking with them, it seemed to do more of what we wanted to do. And I should say too, so it'll do planning and development. It will also do building permits, it will do business licenses, and it will do code enforcement as well.
How about variances? 'Cause we.
Yes, it will do variances, yeah, anything planning and development related, so annexations, variances, conditional uses, zoning map amendments, it'll do all of that.
Will we be able to incorporate on the planning and zoning, regulations and other pieces of information that somebody would need, or they can even go online and file a request?
So I think we can do that in a couple of different ways. One of the things that I would like to do is to do some kind of, some how-to guides that give you some specific places in the code to look for, so that we're not sending back the same comments, hey, you need to show the parking space size, or you need to put this on. So we want to do some how-to guides like that. I know also with this kind of software, there are the abilities to have standard comments put in there so that gets provided to applicants when they apply. So we would be able to, do that. The other thing I do want to point out, so once a month, Lolly spends almost an entire day putting together the report, the monthly report that y'all get, because it's not easy to pull that out of the Tyler information. With this, the reporting capabilities are much easier to use. I think not only will you be able to get that same information that you get now, but we'll be able to provide you with even more information, and some information in chart forms as well. So something a little bit, we'll still give you the same information that you get now, but information that's easier to compare over months and over years as well.
Oh, that's good. Okay, so will they come in and provide training for Lolly and yourself and Sherry and David?
Yes, they'll do training for all of us, and then we'll have a person that we can contact if we start to get into it and we've got questions as well that can help walk us through it. Yes.
And of course, if they're not there, maybe another one, I guess.
Has Aaron been involved in this process?
Yes, Aaron and I sat down and looked at both submittals and went through. His biggest concern was just that we have them pull every little bit of data that we have in EnerGov out. Whether it seems insignificant, he said just have them pull all of it out.
Terry, do you want to speak to the code enforcement side where a citizen can make complaints through?
I saw that.
Yes, so.
That's going to be a big thing.
So any resident can come in and file a claim on it?
So I make a motion, we approve.
Second.
Thank you.
It looks like, with the clarification of the initial setup and the first year fees, that totals $32,500. And then for year 2 and 3, it will be a yearly fee of $14,500.
Yes, sir.
All right, I have a motion by Ms. Taylor, second by Mr. Kirkland, to approve Cloud Permit to provide updated planning and development software in the amount of $32,500, line item number 100-7400, 521200. Any other question or discussion? Mr. Scott?
Yeah.
Mr. Brower? Yes. Mr. Kirkland?
Yes.
Mr. Blackwell?
Yes.
Ms. Taylor?
Yes.
Thought I'd catch you.
Yeah, you took me off guard. I was ready.
Item number 13, new business, request approval, pay Current Edge Solutions $7,924 to replace the fuel tank at the Silverwood Well, line item number 320, 4440, 5412, 57.
Mr. Mayor and Council, this is, the fuel tank for the, generator. We've had that thing, the fuel in it cleaned and polished, and it keeps coming back full of water. So I think we can figure it's got a hole in the inner liner. And we're gonna have to replace it in order to keep the generator running.
And Sam, can you tell me why it's called a Silverwood well? Does it support anything in Silverwood?
It supports Silverwood, yes.
Silverwood is not in the city of Rankin,
No,
so why do we have it?
because it's our water system in Silverwood.
We provide, so.
It's well 4. That's just a name that we give it. Like this over here is 17th Street well 3.
But we do provide some water to
Yeah,
Silverwood
we charge
residents.
outside of the
Oh,
city
yeah.
limits.
We charge them 1.5 times rate, anything outside the city limits.
Understand now.
Is this the initial tank that was put in, Tim?
Yeah, I think it was put in 2006. When we first started that water system upgrade, we had to redo the building and all that from scratch.
And it's used only when the generator is needed, is that?
Well, I mean, it contains the fuel that, we have to exercise the generator every week, but right now we can't even exercise it because it's the tank keeps getting water. Yeah, I mean. No, it's on a slab. Yeah. But it's got a leak seal around the outside of it, so if it does spring a leak, it doesn't get into the ground.
Just trying to figure out, it's underground, sometimes they sweat and
It's
And if
both.
they're underground, the coating on the outside.
Steel.
Sometimes the coating on the outside will cause condensation.
So this would be the cost for the tank and the related hookup
Yeah,
material.
parts and material, labor.
A motion by Mr. Brower, second by Mr. Blackwell to approve to pay Current Edge Solutions $7,944 to replace the fuel tank at Silverwood Well. Any other question or discussion?
We've been bad on this tank for almost a year now. Just knock on wood, we have not had to have it.
Good.
That's good.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Brower? Yes. Mr. Blackwell?
Yes.
Ms. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Kirkland?
Yes.
Item number 14, new business, request approval of meter reading upgrade from Delta Municipal Supply in the amount of $17,600, line item number 505, 4440, 5414, 40.
Mr. Mayor and Council, you should have a presentation in your packet from Delta Municipal Supply with information on the upgrades to the meter reading software and the equipment, and that cloud-based storage, and also includes training. Had Aaron look over it, and he said everything looks good to him.
So it's just replacing the current read system you use now, the remote
It's-
read?
No, it's not remote read, it's radio read still.
Yeah, that's what I meant, yeah.
But the storage, instead of having to put it on the disk and on the laptop and take it back to City Hall for them to download it, they can retrieve it from.
We'll have at that point to be some sort of an HR payroll software.
Good.
If they do that, grant us already. Yeah, that should be it.
And order for motion to approve.
We have a motion by Mr. Scott, second by Mr. Kirkland to approve meter reading upgrade from Delta Municipal Supply in the amount of $17,600. Any other question or discussion? Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Brown? Yes. Blackwell? Yes. Ms. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Kirkland?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council.
Item number 15 is request approval of amendment number 2 of the Effingham County inmate labor agreement. And I think the change is only in the amount that we paid in yearly. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
The new amount would be $54,825.
Yes, sir.
That went up on their pay
for their.
Yeah, it was like 47, I think, wasn't it?
Why did we receive a credit? I didn't understand.
Through your service delivery agreements with the county, which you receive a bunch of credits because of service delivery. And that's in the service delivery strategy for the county. They use work crews in the unincorporated parts of the county. And so you receive a credit for their use because they're paying all of this through the general fund of the county. I don't know if that made sense to you. So you're receiving a credit, just very similar to all of the things in the service delivery. I mean, Rankin really has one of the best service delivery agreements in the entire state. I mean, every citizen here with their property receives 1.87 mils lower in property taxes for the county, property tax than unincorporated Effingham County does. So, and that's rare. It's not that way in the vast majority of the state. So.
Motion for approval.
Second. Motion by Mr. Scott, second by Mr. Blackwell to approve amendment number 2 of the Effingham County Inmate Labor Agreement. Any other question or discussion? Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Brower? Yes. Mr. Blackwell?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Kirk?
Yes.
Item number 16 is approval of a resolution to update the signature card for the city of Rankin Ameris bank account.
I would speak to remove, Councilmember Ron from off the account.
Motion approved.
Second. Have a motion by Mr. Scott, second by Mr. Brower to approve resolution to update signature cards for the city of Rankin Ameris bank accounts. Any question or discussion? Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Brown? Yes. Mr. Blackwell?
Yes.
Ms. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Kirk?
Yes.
Item number 17, request approval for Effingham County Board of Elections to conduct the city of Rankin 2023 elections. I think this is just for the 1 year, and it's tied to the T-SPOS vote that will be taken in November. And I think there will, along with this, there'll be some change in voting locations.
Yeah.
I saw that advertised in the paper already. Anyway, this will be a break for us for this, at least 1 year.
There is no charge from the county for this one this year.
Right.
Because of that T-Splosh.
Did we find out if we, or can we get let's go ahead and start, we're looking at it now, for this to be the regular. I don't want to go back to machines.
Yes, sir.
Even if it means that we have to budget it into our budget, I really would like to see this.
Yes.
to
Now,
stay.
this will open that door. I think it'll give us a good test run and kind of open the door for some reasonable conversation about a reasonable amount for the fee. So I think this would be a good thing.
Well, we need to put the locations on.
And we will, yes, ma'am, because as the mayor says, it will be tied to T-Slots. It will be a lot of promotional information for this election as we secure. We wait for the.
There'll be those few people that don't pay attention.
Oh, that's right.
And all the cities within Effingham County are gonna now be at the county?
That's correct.
That's what it looks like.
In the county, we got it late in the day today to get it to you guys. The county has already signed off on it. They've already approved this agreement. So now they're just waiting on the city.
I make a motion we approve.
Second. Motion by Ms. Taylor, second by Mr. Blackwell to approve Effingham County Board of Elections to conduct the city of Rankin 2023 elections. Any other question or discussion?
Will the people know where to go?
Yes, it will be
And-
advertised.
Will, if people show up at the old voting location?
Well, we'll do everything we can to post at every location and every media outlet, the website. We'll do all we can to make sure that everybody knows.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tell the precinct, they'll tell you, you go to.
Any other question or discussion? Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Brower? Yes. Mr. Blackwell?
Yes.
Ms. Taylor?
Yes.
Kirk?
Yes.
Item number 18, motion to set the special election date to fill the vacated seat of Councilmember Damon Ron. I think the information we've received, and Mr. Dickey, you can coach us along on this. I think we have two options as far as setting an election date, and that would be September and November. Is that right, Mr. Dickey?
Yeah, it'd be the dates that are available would be September 19th for the election date or November the 7th.
Which would be the date of all the other elections, November the 7th.
And I did speak with Olivia at the Board of Elections, and she said it would be easier to add that onto the ballot, and it would be clear that the seat would be only for 2 years, or how many years left of the remaining seat. So she said she can do that in November, and it'll be clear that it's not the 4-year term.
So I guess the question is if we do it for November 7th, the 3 seats that we have coming up, that would be one vote, and then another vote for that last seat, the separate.
Yeah, it's gonna be confusing. There's no way around it. They can say they can make it clear, but it's the people come in and vote for 3 seats and then turn around and vote for another seat. So
you would need to qualify for, so if someone from the public, say, wanted to qualify, they would qualify for the current opening seats, and then they would qualify again for the empty seat?
No.
No.
That's what I think.
You will run for the empty seats, or you will run for the 3 seats.
I think if even for cost, I think we should have done that thing in September. That's what I'm feeling.
Ms. King, do we have enough time in September for the qualification period to?
Yeah, we have all those dates worked out.
Okay.
What you need to do is determine what day you want the election on, whether it's September or whether it's November. And then we can tell you your timeframes for not only your qualification, all the other things, which will be additional votes that are coming up after this one.
We still have time for the qualifying period for the September 7th vote.
That's why I was concerned.
And I think to Mr. Scott's point, no matter how we try to explain it, it's going to be confusing for people that have to go in and actually vote twice.
Yes.
So, you know.
It is, and that was one of the things, if you vote September, then they have to turn around and vote November, and it's really confusing. And then I don't know if the equipment that we have to run an election is not good equipment. And the person that actually, works on our equipment, last election was not in good health. He was like, I gotta sit down, I can't stand up, and.
Yeah, I remember.
Could the Board of if we chose the September 19th, could the Board of Elections do it? No. Even if they charged us?
I can check with her, but I know I did check with the November date, and she said that she would highly encourage that also. Just because you vote one time instead of twice in 1 year.
And I understand for convenience sake, that would be easier. However, I also understand that we're down one council member, and it's important. I mean, we're talking about, if we have an election in September, that person can go ahead and start and take that position. I mean, the people need a representative. And I think the sooner we can have it, the better. Will it be a little bit inconveniencing? It may be, but I think it's important that we go ahead and get that done, get somebody elected, and then go ahead and get started. I mean, they'll have 3 months in by the time the 3 new council members are.
There'll be less confusion in the November 7th election.
And they can be a part of the budget process as we go through that.
That's right.
I think we need to go
Well, I
ahead
agree,
and see what we can do.
I'm gonna be out of town the end of September, so for 10 days.
So I think we need to see what we can do in September. Push it out, push give it our best effort to get it done in September.
And we may, like we have in the last couple of special elections, only have one candidate to qualify.
Maybe.
So we may not end up having an election too.
True.
I think so. I think we should go with September 19th. So I make a motion to, set a special election date, for September 19th.
I think people will come out twice.
I think so too. I think we need to get people qualified. That's gonna be a big thing.
Have a motion by Mr. Kirkland, second by Mr. Scott to set a special election date to fill the vacated seat of Councilmember Damon Ron for September the 19th, 2023. Any other question or discussion? Mr. Scott? Yes. Mr. Brower? Yes. Mr. Blackwell?
Yes.
Ms. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Kirkland?
Yes.
Item 19 is motion to set the qualifying fee at $90 for the special call election.
Make a motion to approve.
Second. Have a motion by Mr. Kirkland, second by Mr. Blackwell. Set the qualifying fee at $90 for the special call election. Any other question or discussion? Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Brown? Yes. Mr. Blackwell?
Yes.
Ms. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Kirkland?
Yeah.
Item 20 is motion to set the qualifying period for the special election.
Okay, so let me tell you what the law is on that, so that you can decide when you want the qualifying period, okay? The qualifying period has to be 2.5 days, okay? So the way it reads, when you have a municipal nonpartisan qualifying period, it shall commence no earlier than the date of the call of the election. That's today, because you just did that. Okay, you understand that? And shall end no later than 25 days prior to the election. That is August the 24th. So from today's date until August the 24th, somewhere in there, you've got to set qualifying period, okay? But you need to advertise that in the paper also. So right now, if you look at your calendar,
Bill, see, with 2.5 days, is there days that would be better
which would be
as far as you, like a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or?
Whatever y'all choose is fine.
So, but he's asking me Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
I would do Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
So, let me ask you this, the advertisement that we've got to send out for qualifying, how soon can we get that sent?
We'll do it tomorrow.
Okay, so,
What about the 15th, 16th, 17th?
Of August? Why so far away? Yeah, I guess that, yeah.
Something far away.
It's not.
well, we're gonna advertise, so we need at least a period to advertise.
When is our qualifying period for the other three?
21st to the 26th.
21st and 25th? So that would be the weeks before. 21st to the 25th.
21 to 25. For us.
For normal, yeah.
For August.
Right. That's qualifying period. So the week before would be for the special election?
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 15th, 16th, and 17th.
So what's the time frame? So I know the time frame is 8:30 to 4:30 every day, is that correct? On the 2 full days, on the half day, it would be 8:30 to 2:30. Why don't you pick your days, and then in your motion, you say 2.5 days, okay? And then we'll we'll look at the statute and count the actual hours.
Okay.
Because the only one that's gonna matter is that last day.
Yes.
The other ones are 8:30 to 4:30, that's statute, so.
We're open to a motion. Qualifying dates, August 15th, 16th, and 17th.
I make a motion we approve 15, 16, 17.
Second.
Do you mind putting in there for 2.5 days?
For 2.5 days.
Okay.
Have a motion by Ms. Taylor, second by Mr. Blackwell, to approve the setting of the qualifying period for the special election for a 2.5 day period, August 15th, 16th, and 17th. Any other question or discussion? Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Trowell? Yes. Mr. Blackwell?
Yes.
Ms. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Kirk?
Yes.
All right, we're now to administrative reports, Mr. City Manager.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. The first item I have, I sent you all an email a week and a half or so ago regarding a request by Mr. Caesar, the former operator of the Zeke Road. He had some equipment in the building. He didn't have any use for anymore and gave us a price for what he would ask for that if the city would be willing to buy it. Had some conversations with Brian, and Brian said, well, we need some of the things, but we don't need everything. Turned around, had a conversation with Mr. Caesar about that, and he came up with something that I presented to you all in the email before we move forward, just kind of putting that back out there. He said, he'd be willing to just, leave the stuff as it is, turn everything over to the city, nothing that had any sort of payments left on it to us, in exchange for being able to utilize the golf course for a couple of years. Right now, he works I believe it's on the weekends, maybe Sunday. And in exchange for golf, we would just kind of swap that out. That was something you all would be okay with. And, roughly it's a little over $4,000 worth of equipment you have in there. And currently, we charge $100 a month for residents for an annual pass and year to resident.
Brian, can you accommodate that, and is it a fair modular?
Exactly what Mr. Lynn just said. Doing the math in my head, even if we decide to have new types of memberships coming up in 2024, I think that's fair. 2 years of membership is approximately what the gentleman is looking for.
Is it legal?
It's the first time I've heard of it, so I have to do some research on it.
Sound, yeah.
Check the issue.
The gym.
Yeah.
So if the city attorney is okay with it, you all, we move forward with it once we get that determination.
Allowed to do it, I'm good.
And as another note, real quickly, I will be looking at, in 2024, really trying to spearhead getting the grill room, I'm gonna call it, back up and running. So some of that equipment that is there should be compliant. So we'll be able to use it for that too.
Not running.
Row two.
He did say green earlier.
Yeah.
All about the money.
Because I would imagine, again, it sounds wonderful, but we need to make sure that even once the city's covered and that we have something in writing. So state, this is the deal, so after the 3 or 4 years or whatever it is, that includes 2 years, year and a half, whatever it is. That, we have in writing, that belongs to us. We're not going back and forth.
Right, and put the dates on it.
Agreed.
Okay, we'll proceed in that route. We'll put out flyers tonight, just to remind everybody that we do have the rodeo coming up August the 11th and 12th. We're promoting it at the radio spots. Will start toward the end of next week on the major stations in Savannah. Been soliciting sponsorships, already have, I think it's upwards, close to 20 vendors that have already paid, and then we'll be at the event. We're gonna be bobbing and weaving. Tim's done a great job. We've got United Roads to do a hefty donation of the lights out there. So they definitely stepped up. Tickets are active. Ticket portal staff will be out there to accept cash and card that for people to get in there. So it should be a good event, but we did get the rain insurance, just that similar last year, just in case of the insurance.
The only concern was the bleachers was a big concern last year for the audience to sit in.
We have, they are going, the bleacher people this year will be coming to install the bleachers themselves to make sure that everything is up and running as well. They will not be teetering and tottering, as well as, we did get, the way they described it last year, they come with a truck with 26 sets of bleachers. They only put out, I think, 21 or 22. This year they're putting out all 26. So we have the extended and expanded seating.
Good.
Just a reminder, sports registrations for football, soccer, and cheerleading are still open right now. Those will close on August the 4th. As of today, this afternoon when I look, we have right about 120 registrations across all three of those. Been assured that typically as with most things, everybody waits till the last minute, so we should have a full season of all those up and running here shortly. They don't anticipate the football season starting until after about September 12th, and that's going to double coordinate with what the county's doing. Not so much share teams, but compete together. We'll let everyone know, and Chief Merle can give you guys a little more of the highlight reel for it, but the police and fire department last week did a full-on active shooter training at the elementary school. Chief makes a really good bad guy, if you guys have noticed that. But they did everything, evacuations to scenario planning. It's really interesting to see, so I'll let him talk a little bit more about what them and the fire department did there. We are still waiting on the concrete for Patriots Park and the playground to get done. It's getting a little excessive now waiting, so I'm pushing them as hard as I can. I did get an update Friday that right now they're waiting on the quote unquote the concrete guy. So I'll follow up about every other day till we get a determination, because everything's out there, everything's ready to be used, other than getting the picnic tables, getting the swings moved, and getting the ground out there for that.
We have pavement.
We had actually, they did end up getting half of it. They did get half up front. That was part of their contract. Okay. So that was, but they haven't got the other.
They did not get the other half. We have 3%.
I agree completely. That's
100%.
And just another going to be tooting the horn for the police department. Corporal Estes, and I sent you all an email, reached out to Georgia Power to see what they would charge to run power to our shooting range. And then Chief Merle explained that, to have air conditioning, to have fans, to have some hookups, to do trainings out there, not for night shooting or night training or anything like that. Georgia Power sent their estimate back to run, I think it was either 1,200 or 1,500 feet of line, 6 power poles, everything they need. Georgia Power has graciously given us a price of $0 to come in and do that for the shooting range. We'll have those documents over to you guys for execution as they come in and get scheduled with that. I just wanted to keep you guys updated there. And I sent everyone a message yesterday and a follow-up email this afternoon. If possible, I would like to take Thursday and Friday to be with family as I had a death with the family. We'll be in Macon. With the exception of Thursday morning, I'll be available by phone, email, and text. I deal with family stuff after that. But Thursday morning will be there. That's all I have tonight.
Any questions from Mr. Flynn? How about our park over here? It's closed, correct?
Yes, sir.
Just for future reference, now's definitely not the time to come up with any solution, but we're gonna have to figure out what we're gonna do with that. I mean, what do we need to take out of there? How active is that park gonna be? I mean, we've got the Veterans Memorial there, but we really, council needs to determine, what the long plan, goal is for that. I mean, it's sad to see it close because it was probably the most used park, I would say, in the county. So I would like for us to keep that on the radar and figure out, what are we gonna do to make it a functional park? Or is it gonna continue to be a park?
Yeah, we
So
had
let's
planned,
decide.
beautification planned on keeping it a park and expanding the memorial park. but still leaving the picnic tables, you know, where people can come and grill and have parties, just not playground. So, and just cleaning it up a lot. I mean, a lot of that stuff needs to be cut back. It hasn't really been maintained good, because I would get rid of some of those bushes because I'd be scared of snakes in there, you know, period. But a lot of the tree, it just needs to be cleaned up, period.
But yeah, we need to decide,
Yeah.
you know, in the next few months, what we're gonna do and give some marching orders. Get it taken care of, so a year from now, it's not still an eyesore out there.
Exactly.
But anyways.
Any other questions? Police Department?
Mayor and council, I'll be brief if I can. Appreciate the use of the book. So like Mr. Lynn said, I think we had a very successful training. It's the first time we've done this to this magnitude. We've done active shooter training in the past where it was strictly Rankin Police Department. This year, building on that, we have incorporated, and Mr. Whittle, you can chime in anytime you get ready, but we sent 4 guys from the city, 2 from fire, 2 from PD to go to alert level 2 training, where it incorporates rescue task force, fire responds, Lord forbid, in one of these type of events, they respond with us into the warm zone of an active event, whether it be active shooter, knife attack, bomb, whatever it is. Once we loosely clear that zone, fire can come in with us and start administering aid and help extract wounded and casualties from those areas. This is the first time, like I said, that we've done this kind of training. This was 4 days last week, 2 days per class. So we had 2 classes last week, had a total of 35 attendees, 19 in the first class, 16 in the second. Agencies included in this training were, of course, Rankin PD, Springfield PD, Rankin Fire, E911, which is Central Dispatch, the DA's office, and 4 guys from the 165th. We did this training at Rankin Elementary School. Next year, we plan to move it so we can kind of get hands-on training with different vulnerable areas. Really, really quality training. I've never had the opportunity to attend anything like this in my career, and we're hosting it, so I feel really good about it. Also reached out to some other people, invited them to let them firsthand kind of see what we're doing, like school board. Nobody showed up, but we did invite them. But at the same time, I know they're, you know, prepping for next school year, so maybe that's why. Whittle is one that the fire department sent to be a trainer for this.
Like I said, we had 2 guys from Springfield PD show up. They also took a class with the county, same kind of class. They were more impressed with our class. The guys told us that they were so impressed that they were gonna go back and talk to their chief and have the rest of their department try to come to our class the next time we host it, because they felt like it was a better class and they got more out of it. So hopefully we can expand this to everybody. Anybody that wants to take it, we'll be glad to host it and teach it. It's a really good class. I've been asking for something like this since Chief Scholl was here. So we're finally getting there.
I can't take any credit for this other than trying to help make it happen. Whittle, Dana Rigsby from the fire department, Curtis Smith, and Matthew Estes are the 4 employees that coordinated this entire event, and it was amazing. It was really good.
And I will say for them, it's not sitting around in a classroom. These are active scenarios with.
We actually, you're right. We actually take actual scenarios that have happened, Pulse nightclub shooting, the Las Vegas shooting, and we basically reenact those and make our guys go in and handle those scenes. And also extracting the victims and the casualties out to a casualty collection point and getting them to an ambulance. And it goes over medical aid, tourniquets and wound packing, and it's just a really good course. So.
That's good. I'm sorry. When I worked for Medical College of Georgia, we had practice scenarios like a major shooting, and, everybody had to participate in that.
Mm-hmm.
And so we did that as well, so that's great.
And that's how it was here. It was mandatory for all law enforcement and all the fire guys. So I believe everybody attended except for one. I had one out on COVID.
How many times are you gonna offer this, or?
We're gonna do it on an annual basis.
I was gonna recommend an annual basis.
And we plan on building on it every year. We want to reach more agencies.
If you get really big, you might have to do it twice, what Mr. Whittle was suggesting, inviting all these other
That's right.
departments come in too.
We're trying to make it a real world scenario. If, Lord forbid, we had any kind of major active attack within the city, everybody's coming. State Patrol's coming, Effingham County's coming, Guyton's coming, probably Chatham County, Port Wentworth. So we want to make it where we want to recreate all of the real world issues that will happen in one of those scenarios in our training. That way it's not new to us if, Lord forbid, it ever happens. So something you guys should really be proud of your employees for making happen. It was good stuff.
That's great.
The last thing I have, stemming off of what Mr. Lynn said, the power to the range. I guess before I move on, do y'all have any more questions about that? The power at the range, I do feel strongly that we need to make that happen. We've had security issues out there in the past where property's been damaged on 2 different occasions. I want to put lights and cameras out there, just so you guys know, for a little bit longer term, the plan is for a full-on training facility out there and a range rebuild. That range was built prior to 2002 per Sheriff McDuffie. So pretty old in age, but just so you guys know where my head is going, that's kind of the plan. And this will be the first step in getting the power out there. And at no cost. I don't see why not, other than we have to put up the temporary pole. That's it.
They gonna be underground or overhead?
Overhead. That's how they quoted it. Yeah, it's free.
I used to have to deal with broke poles.
I mean, if they want to do underground free, I'm all for it.
It's a lot cheaper on them to do underground.
Yeah. We'll see if they're willing to do it. I'll get back and ask.
Maybe we could put a bug in somebody's ear.
There's a whole lot of pipes running over there. I don't know if they're gonna do that.
No,
Should be, right?
there's no pipes out there. Everything out there on that end of that treatment plant was sitting on those concrete runners was the spray fields. Everything else is back over toward the treatment plant itself.
Long term, that is gonna be cost effective for them.
The underground.
And it's gonna be more reliable if we have a storm blow through
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
I mean, that underground's gonna be more likely than not. It's gonna be up and running as opposed to got a bunch of rope poles. I mean, Aspen's not gonna hurt. Just wanna ask you about have we ever done a cleanup out there? I mean, we got 21 years of lead out there. Probably tons and tons, and it's right there where we treat wastewater that's re-released into Swigoffer Creek. Or, applied at the golf course, so I mean.
It is definitely a number 1 on my list. That is part of our range rebuild reason.
So we would basically go in and collect all that and.
You have to mitigate it. You have to have hazmat come in and remove it and dispose of it properly because of the lead. And it goes so many feet deep.
Will it be recycled?
I don't know that answer, but the plan is to move locations. We have it's already on our property. I'm talking, we're not even beginning on this yet, but the plan is to go, if you guys have ever been to our range, when you come out to the field, you turn left, you get down to the next curve that forces you to turn right, and you're facing our range, there's a ditch that runs along the left side. I think the perfect case scenario would be to be on the left side of that ditch, which is gonna cause us to obviously have to clear a lane down that side. But there's more high ground over there, and we get away from that issue you're talking about.
Part of the rebuild, I was thinking that would be going in and, like you say, mitigating that.
Yeah.
But I mean, when I say several, there's probably several tons of lead out there. I mean, and yeah, I mean, it's lead, it can be recycled.
Well, at some point, it creates a safety hazard also. When you're shooting at the 3 yard line, it'll create a splatter from the projectile hitting other lead in the range, and it
Yeah,
can create a splatter back at the shooter.
And I'm sure there's some steel rounds were shot out there as well, but,
Before the recycling, we won't have a say on that because EPA regulates all of that. And they'll charge and you have to go in, you got to dig so many feet and dispose of it at a place that they determine.
and EPA and EPD need to be included in the construction. I'd hate to put infrastructure in the ground and, make sure that we have their blessing.
Sure.
Before we.
There now, it has since been put in place, since this range has been built, there's since been put in place requirements for a membrane to go under the berm. And we're grandfathered in because this range is so old. But like you said, there's so many tons of lead in that range now, it's definitely time that we need to be looking at a rebuild on that.
It's definitely a infrastructure safety requirement.
Yeah.
I mean, that would probably be something worth looking at in the next budget too, because it's a
I
problem.
think we need just go ahead and try to get it started.
And like I said, this is the first step, is we're getting the power out there.
Yeah.
That is our goal.
Cool. Keep it on your list.
Thank you.
Any questions from council? All right, fire department?
Mayor and council submitted my report earlier this month. ISO will be here next Wednesday, the 2nd. My staff has been working, per se, boots on the ground diligently for the last 6 months, training, pre-fire planning all the buildings in the city, painting fire hydrants in the city. So I'm working on the paperwork now, so we should be ready.
If we work with, Mr. Starling, or, I don't even know if he's still consults, but I mean, have we been,
He still consults on the side. I have called him and, we've had several phone conversations, but he feels we're gonna be just fine.
and this is for coming back into the city?
That's correct. We will test as a city department only.
Any questions?
With transition,
I'm sorry?
transition.
Yes. Yes, transition went well. They went out, Mr. Whittleship went out today to, we have to have automatic aid training with the company, so they went to 15, 16, and 17, which is the Hodgeville, Goshen, and Ebenezer Station to train with those guys today. So we're keeping up just as quick as possible.
Do we know what the city's response time within the city is? Do you have an estimate about what our response time is?
Less than 4 minutes.
That's for any place within the city of Rankin?
Correct.
And do you know what the county's is? Probably about 15?
I'm not sure. When we had that county area, it was 8 minutes. But COVID threw a hinky into that because the medical response. So that throws your times off, but any fire-related call in the city is less than 4 minutes.
Building and zoning,
I don't have a report for you this week.
any questions? Public Works?
Well, I know, it came back from, the legal, time, what's the best time? He set up a workshop with council, something we hadn't had yet. And we definitely need it now, based on what's going on.
Yes, I can work on setting that up, if that's what y'all would like.
I shouldn't talk about density and zoning and
Zoning, the
traffic
density,
into this
traffic, stuff like that, and look at the areas and
Okay.
kind of get the expectation of council as well as what you have in your part.
Any other questions? Public Works.
Available for any questions?
Questions from council?
Yes, I have a question. Is there any way possible that we can spray the parking lot at the golf course Thursday? If not, Brian and I are gonna roll it. And can we roll it?
You roll it with push roller,
Yeah.
you ain't getting my machine.
No, I know we can't use your machine.
I don't know if we can get it Thursday or not, we gotta start getting ready for that daggone rodeo.
All right, then I'll just come and get the paint and Brian and I'll roll it.
I mean, if you want, if you can wait a couple weeks, max, we'll get the parking lot. Or I'll try to get it this week.
Well, the main reason why we were gonna do it Thursday is they're gonna be closed.
Well, you still
Correct,
have-
Brian?
You still gonna have people over there anyway, but if it don't rain, we'll get it Thursday. Just get it cleaned up.
Tell me what I gotta do.
Get the inmate out there, the pressure washer, get it cleaned off. We'll get it sprayed if it don't rain.
Any other
Well,
questions?
do we have cones we can use to mark things off?
I bought you paint, I'm going in the striping. Now, I guess you want my cones now?
Yeah, I want your
The
cones.
cones are gonna be needed in the back, the cones are gonna be in the back of school Thursday, so they'll be tied up.
What will be done?
The cones, they're gonna be at the back of school bags to control traffic Thursday.
Hey, what?
That's school goes for Thursday.
We talked.
Let's pick, this is, this looks like our staff and the manager.
It does die fast, okay. All right, I appreciate it. I'll call you tomorrow.
I'm getting, okay, y'all forget about it tomorrow.
I'll do it ever.
All right, finance,
Nothing to report.
questions?
I saw your car late. Are we?
The auditors did come in today and they'll be there for the next 3 weeks, so.
Work like that.
Okay. Golf course report?
I don't have anything besides what you don't say, we're going on Thursday for airification, back open on Friday. Just, get ready to ramp up for, this season. Hopefully August is gonna be okay, but then September, October, November, I think it's gonna be pretty, so it's looking pretty good. I think it's any questions to be answered.
Any questions? All right, anything from council?
Yeah. I'm getting Jonathan to put bids out for painting the golf course. I have one and it's unreal good price. But y'all know how it is to get people to even come and give you a quote. So hopefully people will.
You know, the courthouse.
And once we get them,
The clubhouse, the
the
car.
clubhouse, the maintenance shop, all
Not
of
the
it.
golf.
And the rotted
You
wood.
said the golf
You got a
course.
sprayer on the back of that tractor, you can spray it all the
Yeah, I mean, it's been let go for so long, it needs it. And once it's done, it's gonna be nice. We've been very fortunate that Larry has replaced a lot of the rotten wood around it, the handle rails and stuff, so I'm excited. So we'll let y'all know the quotes when we get them.
Anything else from council?
I talked with Jonathan and, Mr. Lewis about the last phase of 7th Street. For some reason it's been dropped, we need to pick it up and get it completed. We've got that well in, it's been all that money for those wells and stuff like that. the road deteriorating out there, and we're not getting anything done, and the staff need to get back on it and complete that project. So I've talked to them about it.
Pothole in front of, I know it's a private road, and we discussed it probably a month and a half, 2 months ago. Brought it up in front of Rutland Tire on the access road. We were gonna, Ms. Lewis discussed it, so. Have we got any kind of dialogue going with the businesses there, or there's a Babel right there in front of Rutland, several.
We haven't yet, but we can, not that I'm aware of, we can start that, so.
I think David may have been spearheading that, but again, it sounds like the other issue is gonna be taken care of right there in front of the old KFC, but I mean, this is one of those deals, I say it every time, and I'll say it along some here, you know, every time somebody hits one of those, they think it's the city of Rankin and they're cussing all of us, when we have nothing to do with it, and it's a private road. So I just wanted to bring that up, I asked about it at the next meeting, and, Burger King. I get questions about Burger King all, and I'm like, private, do we know anything about Burger King? Is it a new franchisee coming in, or, what?
Terry.
I know it's closed, but I mean, are there any plans?
I know the one in,
Springfield and.
Springfield closed as well.
Okay.
I'm happy to, reach out to them and see kind of what, like, are they,
If we could reach out to corporate maybe and say,
Right.
hey, listen, what's going, can you get somebody in here? I mean, if it was run right, they would make money. But it's just, I mean, it's another building sitting empty and I've been meaning to ask that question for months. I know it seems insignificant, but if we could reach out, maybe they can tell us something.
absolutely.
Terry, we discussed it, but have we heard anything yet from the old Food Line building yet? Have they responded with the old Food Line building?
They haven't yet, so we're reaching back out to, our contact with, AIDS to see if they're still pursuing it, so.
I have one more thing. Are you done, Leva? The new strip mall that's being done right there in the Kroger parking lot, when they tap in, you know how they tore up the road to tap into something? Can they fix both of those? Because I've gotten several complaints about that.
Yes.
And they will fix them, when they just have, they keep them open to make sure they don't have to go back in there when the building's over. We'll get them to put a plate over it or something.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Jonathan, I know you've been out of the loop, but how about picket fences? I don't wanna drop that ball. Have you been able to schedule any kind of meetings?
Yes, sir, and I sent you all an email, I'm glad you brought that up. I think it's August the 20th. They are having an HOA meeting, first night instead of invited. I know I'll be there, coming out to you all. And just go ahead and they'll put us first on the agenda, to talk with them when I reached out to schedule the meeting, say, hey, they said, hey, we're having an HOA meeting. Told them, come the 1st of August, we'll start putting notes on their door saying, hey, we will be at this meeting there.
Yeah.
So they'll maximize their participation. So I think that's at 6:30.
Yeah. Anything else from council? Do we have a need for an executive session?
Yes, sir, I'd like to request the executive session, please. To talk about personnel.
Is that a motion?
Yes, I made a motion to executive session, talk about personnel.
Motion by Mr. Kirkland, second by Mr. Dryler to go into executive session, discuss personnel, pending litigation, attorney-client privilege and risk. Mr. Scott? Yes. Mr. Brown? Yes. Mr. Blackwell? Yes. Ms. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Kirkland?
Yes.
Oh.
I know, right?